Welcome everybody to the first Main Street Monday of 2024. We haven't had one of these since November of last year. And we talked to folks that were at our training in February, and everybody said that they found this to be a valuable meeting and a good chance to stay in touch. So we're rebooting the Main Street Mondays, and we'll have these at 10 a.m. or second Monday of each month. So we look forward to you all being here. It's not required, it's just a chance to for us to give updates. We will have different speakers throughout the year talking about different topics, and then we'll have a chance for communities to share information. But I'm excited that Debbie and Robert are on the call. So you guys want to introduce yourself?
Good morning. I'm Debbie Deere, the Assistant Director of the Kansas Main Street Program, and it's great to see so many people joining us this morning.
And I thought I saw Robert on the call, but maybe he's not here yet. Robert might not be here, but he'll probably be chiming in at some point. And I see Joy's here from Main Street America. That's awesome. Good morning, Joy.
Good morning, y'all. I just wanted to say hello and offer, any answers to questions on the Main Street America side and possibly any updates that we've got from national.
I'm glad you're here. You're welcome anytime. Today's agenda is really touching base on a few kind of housekeeping things. We don't have a speaker or any specific topic, but the first thing we want to talk about is the upcoming Main Street America conference in Birmingham. I hope everybody who's attending is registered and has their hotel room. If you don't, I think the original 2 hotel room blocks were booked, and Main Street America added a couple more options, and I'm not sure the status of those, but in general, if you're going to Main Street America, once you hear that those hotels have been announced, it's probably a good idea to book them fast, because that's the best way to get into the conference hotel. Joy, do you have anything to add about that? I don't want to put you on the spot here, but since you're here, I'll take advantage of it.
Yeah, no, you're actually spot on. We did try to add a couple other options, as well as talk to the hotels themselves if there were any other rooms. It is, we kind of have our max requests. Some other things in terms of tips would just be getting closer to also, if you book a hotel off-site, but, kind of check in periodically as we get closer, sometimes other rooms become available because other people might have changed plans as well. But we do know that, yeah, once those are announced, even if you're not 100% sure of attending, we always recommend to book your hotel and then kind of make your plans from there. But yeah, I hope to see everybody soon in Birmingham.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. Book the room even if you think you're going, because it's easy to cancel that room if you change your plans, but it's difficult to find one if it's this point and you're still looking for a place. So that's an excellent point. Just to give you a heads up, Robert and Debbie and I all have meetings Saturday and Sunday. Debbie will actually have some meetings on Friday. State coordinating program staff goes out for those meetings the weekend before. So we will be out of the office at least Friday, May 3rd through, we'll be back on May 9th. And so we're out early. We can still communicate with you if you have questions or issues getting there or anything you need to know from us. We're still accessible, but we do leave early and have those meetings the weekend before. And then there's some conference activities on Sunday the 5th, and then everything starts in full on Monday the 6th. And that morning is the opening plenary session. And that's where, if you've been there before, you know that all the states sit together as a group, kind of like a political convention. We have those cool signs that show where each state is. And we will have t-shirts for you again, like we have last year. So if you haven't given Debbie your t-shirt size, do that ASAP. I think it's might be too late even, but we have extras. So if somebody didn't get their size in, we should be able to cover for you. Debbie, do you want to, I don't see Robert on the call, but do you want to say anything about t-shirts? Did we get sizes from everybody?
I have collected sizes from everyone that I knew had registered from the list that you had given me previously. We did order some extras. So if there happens to be somebody that comes on later, hopefully we'll be able to have one for them as well. And we're still trying to coordinate when and how we'll get those t-shirts to you. We will have them at the conference. So there might be a system if you're checking into the conference hotel, that you can get it at check-in, or we might also possibly have them available at the conference registration. So we're still working out those details.
And I can tell you, I've heard from other state coordinating programs, other state directors, my counterparts, that they notice our shirts. And it's kind of a cool thing to see a big group of Kansas people walking around wearing those shirts. So the design is really neat, and it'll be fun doing that. So plan on being there Monday morning for the opening session. Wear your t-shirts. We'll get a group picture like we always do and kick off a great conference. And Debbie has done a great job of planning a social event for the Kansas group on Monday evening. Debbie, you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so we have reservations made at a place not too far away from the conference area. I put the link in the chat here along with a couple of other links to the conference information, but it's called Pies and Pints. And so from 5 to 7 on that Monday evening, we have a happy hour scheduled for there. And you can just show up. It is about a mile walking distance or about a 6-minute Uber ride. So however you want to get there, it's fairly close. And we'll just gather there. You can order food. They have recommended that if you want to order food, you might want to think about ordering it in advance just to make it more efficient. But you know, you can play that by ear when you get there. But it looks pretty tasty, and we have a good space set aside. So I think it'll be a lot of fun.
And that's an informal social. You know, come and go. You don't have to stay the whole time. And we actually may have some other states join us for that. We're not sure right now, but I know other states do this as well. And some were looking for space. And so if there's enough space and we can fit other states in, there may be a lot of people there. It'll be a fun event. I also dropped into the chat a conference agenda. So if you want to start looking at the agenda and figuring out what you're going to go to, that's great. Anybody have questions about the conference, about t-shirts, about the social, about hotels and travel, or any perspective you want to offer from your experience at conferences before?
Hey, Scott. Sorry, I'm a little late and I missed a few things.
That's all
Who do we
right.
need to reach out to for t-shirts?
Email Debbie.
Email Debbie. Okay, will do.
Yep.
And will there be an app this year like there was in last year for keeping track of what sessions you want to go to and everything like that?
I see Joy nodding yes. So that will be a yes. Do you know when that'll be available, Joy? Well, I think it was out before the conference last year, wasn't it? Or is it on site?
It was. I actually think that should be pretty soon, maybe even within the next week or so.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Great questions, Randy. We look forward to seeing you there. Any other questions or thoughts about the Main Street Now conference in Birmingham? We're looking forward to it.
Do we have any confirmation if there's going to be anything on the E3 communities there at Nationals?
Yes, there will be actually a meetup that's going to happen right before sort of like the opening gathering. So we'll have an opportunity for anybody that's involved there to also meet up.
Would that be on Sunday, or is that before the opening session on Monday morning? Do you know, Joy?
I do know. Just give me one moment.
That's all right. And for those of you who may not be familiar with that, the E3, what we call E3, is the Equitable Entrepreneurial Ecosystem. It's a pilot program that involves 10 states, 9 states and Puerto Rico, with 3 communities from each state working in this pilot program. And in Kansas, we have Ottawa, Junction City, and Atchison are the 3 communities that are working in the E3 program. And then when this is complete, there'll be kind of a process to help other communities figure out how to create an ecosystem that's good for entrepreneurship. So we're excited that we're part of that. Any other questions or thoughts about the conference?
I had
All
one
right.
more.
Fire away, Randy.
Are we going to make some sort of group chat so all of us Kansas people can coordinate?
That's a good question too. I have actually thought about maybe using Slack for that. I'm with several different groups that use Slack, and that seems to be kind of the app to use now, and it's a great way to communicate quickly. That might be especially helpful with getting t-shirts to everybody and coordinating that. But that's a great question. We'll talk about that internally and figure out what might be best. The other thing I wanted to mention briefly is, and we'll drop a link to this in the chat. I hope you all saw the Main Street America Trends Survey that came out recently. I think that's always a great source of information to see kind of what the trends are with communities throughout the country. And thanks to those Kansas communities who participated in that survey. Just wanted to make sure everybody saw that. So Debbie just dropped a link to that in the chat. Also, the Preservation Conference is coming up in May, and May is going to be a busy month, needless to say. Debbie's going to drop that link to the Preservation Conference in the chat as well. Please register if you can make that conference. It's great. Robert and I will both be speaking there, and we've got some good speakers lined up and some sessions that will be important. So if you can make it, there's no direct connection with Main Street and the SHPO conference this year. Like last year, we paid for everybody's registration. Hopefully we'll see some of you there. Any questions about the Preservation Conference? A couple more things I wanted to mention. The accreditation process, the first time going through this process with the portal and the new accreditation standards is complete as of April 1st. April 1st was the national deadline. Kansas had a deadline of March 15th. I really appreciate everybody that went through that process and got that done. We will be scheduling follow-up visits with communities soon. In fact, Joy and I will be talking later this afternoon and coordinating her calendar to schedule visits. So you'll be hearing from us in the next week or so about those visits. From our perspective, as state staff, we found it very helpful to find out really where communities needed help and what areas of focus you might need help with from us and from Main Street America. So we found the process extremely valuable, and we appreciate everybody's input on that and working through that process. That will be an annual process with the same deadline next year. April 1st deadline. Those are going to stay consistent, and really the process will stay the same. There just might be some tweaks to the portal, the online portal. I don't think it'll be anything major, just some minor tweaks to that. And Joy, again, I'll ask, do you have anything you want to add to that and make sure everybody's kind of up to speed with that process?
No, I think just, thanks for helping us get through the first year. I think it'll be a lot different once we kind of understand the cadence a little bit more. But obviously, it's just a really great opportunity, regardless, to be able to help with planning, conversations with board members, and just the like. So I think that once we sort of again get into kind of that cadence of some of the visits and then using the platform and things like that, it'll just be a lot easier as we move forward.
I would agree with that, and that's from our perspective as state staff, that's going to be helpful for us too, to kind of get in that rhythm of how this is all going to work. So I think it's a great assessment tool. It's a great way to understand where your community is and where your organization is. And it, again, like I said, it helps us kind of define what areas of work you might need help with. So
yeah, the first year is always the hardest, right? So, but I think that after we kind of get through this one, again, I think it'll be nice to also start to add it into different like onboarding practices, things for transition for both board members and staff members. So we'll just kind of consider it a way to also be able to really understand, again, like Scott said, where your organization's at, a really nice snapshot of other things that you might be considering in terms of work for the next year. So, and then I know that there's still, obviously, we're also just getting more feedback. So as you have now used the platform, please let us know other things to help us make it easier to use. So we're going to try to implement as many of those things as possible for next year.
yeah, I know from the coordinating program perspective, we've offered some suggestions on how to kind of tweak the portal to make it a little more user-friendly. It was really a pretty user-friendly process to begin with. There's just some minor tweaks that will make a big difference as we move forward. So
Hey,
anybody
Scott, I
have?
have a question.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, just FYI, nothing to compare it to. I thought that submitting that survey or submitting our accreditation information was very easy. So for me,
Good.
on the visits that you all are gonna schedule, can you tell me a little bit, like, I'm hoping you're gonna visit downtown Salina. What those visits are gonna kind of look like? Do I need to have anybody, will you just let us know what we need to have, if we need to have board members or anything like that?
Yes, that's a great question, Leslie. And you will be getting a visit. Most of the visits will likely be transformational strategy visits to help you better understand how to create those transformational strategies that are part of that accreditation process, but are also, more importantly, they're critical to having a good program of work and making sure your program is focused and really understands what work you need to be doing. And so we've done that in some Kansas communities already over the last couple of years. And we have an outline of the agenda and who needs to be involved, and we'll send that to you and make sure you're up to speed with how that visit's going to work. But yeah, it's all kind of planned out for you. And it will include survey work, it'll include some market data, and it'll include group meetings with different groups in your community and organization to kind of define those strategies. Joy, do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, sure. We'll be able to provide everybody that is either going to go through, whether it's a progress slash accreditation visit or the transformation strategy visit. There's kind of like a guide basically for every program. So the things that, we might need from you and kind of a timeline of like when to turn certain things in, or just, again, to kind of help invite some of those stakeholders and other interested parties to the different focus groups. So yeah, we have that all outlined for you all. So, and then if there's any questions, just let us know in terms of like that initial outreach. But it really is a great way to do some community engagement and really outreach, so that you can again start to assess like, okay, what's going on with our organization now, and what might we want to be doing in the next couple of years.
Yes, thank you very much. Look forward to
Awesome.
seeing you.
Yes, we look forward to getting out in the communities and doing these visits there. And like I said, that was part of the accreditation process that helped us is understand who needs those visits, and some communities might not be ready for a visit like that. And so we'll do like a progress visit or a baseline assessment. And again, both of those visits or anything we do, we'll have an agenda that you'll get in plenty of time to be able to plan and understand how the visit's going to be shaped.
Do you have, I know you guys were going to talk afterwards this afternoon, but can you, a timeline of when these visits might start? So the reason this is perfect timing. I have an executive board meeting this week, and so I can kind of get the word out to them.
I think the earliest they would be is July. We're looking at some dates, if I recall, and I don't see the email. I'd have to pull it up, but I think we're looking at some dates in July, August, maybe even into October. Joy and I will coordinate that this afternoon, and then we'll start letting communities know when we'll do those visits.
Yeah, and
you.
we want you to have time so you don't feel like it's too quick in terms of preparing and whatnot. So we want to let you have some time.
Well, and Scott, to piggyback off that, in some of the communities that I've already been visiting, it may or may not be accreditation related, but we are also taking notes on scheduling some trainings with some of those folks as well that we'll be in touch about.
Again, great job to everybody who completed that process. I know we've got some affiliates on here, and so I hope that doesn't seem too foreign to you, but that's something that our designated communities, a process that they go through to help them understand if they meet accreditation requirements. If you have questions, if you're an affiliate and you want to know more about it, you're not sure what we're talking about, shoot me an email afterwards. I'll be glad to visit with you on a call about it and explain. But it's a really good process. It's been a long time coming. We're glad that we've got it in place. And I also want to mention that for designated communities, thank you to everybody who sent in the IWW, the Incentives Without Walls information that we requested a few weeks back. That was very helpful. I don't like making last minute requests like that. So thanks for getting that in within a week. And then especially with the follow-up question, that was very helpful. And we will be scheduling at least a couple of virtual workshops for designated communities, and affiliates can participate in this if you want, to help you understand how to collect and get better at collecting and reporting economic impact data. Jobs created, businesses open, reinvestment made, both public and private, volunteer hours. Some of you are doing a great job at that now. Others are doing okay at that, but we need everybody has to be doing that by the end of this year. Again, we will schedule some virtual sessions to help you understand that and make that as simple as possible for you. I want to mention that our next training session after the conference in May, then the SHPO conference in May, but the next Main Street training session is June 25th and 26th in Winfield. That will focus on placemaking, and we've got some speakers lined up, and we should have an agenda coming out in the next couple of weeks. Hopefully, we're kind of tweaking the final pieces of the agenda for that training session, but that's June 25th and 26th in Winfield. That's open to affiliate communities and, of course, designated communities. We expect that everybody will be there for that, and we will send out the email with the agenda and registration information for the training and hotel information. So also on Monday, June 24th, the day before the quarterly training session, we will have new director training for any directors that are new in the past year, or anybody that maybe has been around for a long time and you just want to come to new director training. You know, we're not going to limit who comes to that, but if you're a new director and you haven't been through this training yet, it will be required that you're at new director training on Monday, June 24th. And we will also send out an email with information about that training, the agenda, but that will pretty much be a full day of training for new directors.
I just put the hotel information in the chat just to get ahead of that a little bit. And we do have it set up so that any of the people who want to attend the new directors on Monday can check in on Sunday ahead of time. So that's in place. And as you said, we'll be getting some agendas and information out to everybody.
Any other questions or anything anybody wants to talk about? We are about to wrap up. That's kind of what we wanted to cover today. Like I said, it was a lot of housekeeping things and just making sure everybody's up to date with the conference and training. The next Main Street Monday is on May 13th. And that Main Street Monday will kind of be a wrap up of the national conference. And we're going to ask some folks that are at the conference if they'd be willing to share their experience and talk about any sessions that they went to. And of course, it'll be open to anybody that wants to talk about, you know, specific sessions they attended or any takeaways from the conference. We're going to ask a couple of folks that are going to be at the conference if they would speak to their experience. So that's what the Main Street Monday will be on May 13th.
Hey, Scott, one last thing from
Sure.
me. Is there, and I think this kind of talked about a little bit about Randy, what Randy was asking, but at the conference in Birmingham, I don't know, but is there a place like we could say, hey, anybody want to meet for lunch? We're going to meet in front of XYZ and we can all go to lunch together. Or, hey, tonight we're going to XYZ. Anybody want to meet? You know what I'm trying to say? Like a
Yep.
local spot where Kansas people can meet up if we're all doing something, want to do something together.
I think unless anybody has any objections to this, and so we may want to create a Slack channel for Kansas Main Street, and it's a great way for people to communicate things like that. I see Joy shaking her head yes. I was going to ask if Joy had any suggestions on what maybe you do internally with Main Street America people, or
Yeah, well, we're Teams folks, so we end up having like an internal Teams channel for that. But yeah, Slack, Teams, always a good thing. Smaller groups end up doing like I know that's a lot for like a group text, but I think Slack or Teams would probably be the best way. And then randomly, I mean, not that this has to be like a way of communicating, but there's always this like old school bulletin board that gets up there at conference, and people just kind of put things about like if they need extra tickets or you know, for something, and if somebody has them that they're giving away. It just kind of organically always happens to be like this message board that is up near registration. So people like to leave notes there as well. Not that that has to be a place for you to go, but I think Slack or Teams channels work just fine.
But I think anybody can get the Slack app. It's free. It's just a matter of creating an account. And I think I haven't actually invited people to Slack. It's always been me being invited to another channel. So we'll figure out how to do that, and we'll probably use Slack for that, unless anybody has any other options or objections to that. So Debbie, do you
Hey,
have
one
anything
last
to
thing
add?
from Salina. One last thing
Yes.
from Salina. Big
Yes.
plug, our new Farm and Art Market downtown opens on May 18th. We're up to 22 vendors, and we're really looking forward to it with a better opening on the 25th. But downtown Salina will have a Farm and Art Market this year. Yay!
Awesome. I do want to mention too that Nathan from Mound Ridge mentioned in the chat that's a summer reading program theme this year is Adventure Begins at Your Library. Is anybody doing anything adventure themed this summer? Anybody do anything like that? Or Nathan, do you want to expand on that and explain that a little bit?
It is gonna work. Okay, sure. We've got scouts coming, we've got Flag Day things, we've got tourism. The kids tourism is gonna come and do an event on a Monday night, and I'm excited about that one. We've got sword fighting, we've got musketeers, we've got all sorts of adventure stuff going on this summer. And it's June to July is our theme time. So I've only got the one event for the tourism, but you know, we're always looking for more.
That's great. Thanks for that perspective. Well, thanks everybody for being here. Joy, would you like to add anything before we wrap up? I appreciate you being here this morning.
No, all good. This is great. I'm happy to just again join whenever I can, and then just provide any other insights or updates.
I see where Nathan posted about the eclipse today, so I hope everybody has time to enjoy that, and don't forget to wear your special glasses.
We've got them here at the library.
Nice. All right. Well, that's it for this Main Street Monday. Thanks everybody for being here. We appreciate that. And we'll see you at the next Main Street Monday on May 13th. And some of you will see in Birmingham, and some of you you'll see at the SHPO conference. And so have a great week, everybody, and we'll talk soon. Take care.